Well, welcome back. As you might expect, the birth of the city of Huntington Beach shares many similarities with its neighboring beach communities. But like each of the other beach towns along the Southern California coastline, each has a unique cast of movers and shakers whose visions, ambitions, and money shape their futures. Like each of my other videos in this series, I have colorized and enhanced each of the following images. Not to alter the past, but to bring them to life and make them a little bit more relatable. No disrespect intended to the original photographers. Like much of the Southern California coastline, the area now known as Huntington Beach was originally inhabited by the Aboriginal Tongva people, also referred to as the Gabrielinos. They settled the area between Malibu and Aliso Beach in Laguna nearly 8,000 years ago. European settlement began in 1784 when Spanish soldier Manuel Nieto was granted 300,000 acres of land in recognition of his military service. This was one of the largest Spanish concessions and included all of the land between San Gabriel and the Santa Ana rivers, from the foothills to the sea. You can see by 1889 the Rancho Los Nietos grant was partitioned into 6 smaller ranchos, including Rancho Las Bolsas, which would eventually become Huntington Beach. Over the years, the property changed ownership several times. The land was used for both raising cattle and horses, as well as growing crops such as lima beans, asparagus, peppers, celery, sugar beets, and a variety of grains such as barley, wheat, and oats. This photo was taken near the current location of Talbert Avenue on the border of Fountain Valley and captures a 6-horse team pulling a load of hay. Since people relied on horses for transportation, feed grains were still a necessity, and local dairy farms relied on this hay, like the one located in Smeltzer near where Golden West College sits today. By the time Orange County incorporated in 1889, the area had become known as Shell Beach and was home to a small community of settlers. One of the earliest families to settle in the area was William and Mary Newland. Moving to California during the land boom of the 1880s, the Newlands purchased 500 acres of the former Rancho La Bosa Chica in 1897, almost the same location the Tongva had chosen for their village. William cleared the land and completed their home in the summer of 1898. I'm happy to say this home has been preserved by the local Huntington Beach Historical Society and has been turned into a museum offering educational tours highlighting local history. In 1901, the name was changed to Pacific City when a local investment group purchased 40 acres of beachfront property, with 20 acres on each side of Main Street in hopes of creating a West Coast resort city to rival Atlantic City on the East Coast. In the center of the screen, you can see the faint outline of the first pier built here in 1904 and the Pacific City Hall on the south side of the street. Here's a close-up of the Pacific City Hall. It still remains today at 122 Main Street. Back in the day, it was a cash, grocery, and feed store on the lower level, with local town meetings held upstairs. Sometimes things just work out. With a little coaxing, maybe begging, Pacific City convinced railroad magnate Henry Huntington to extend his Pacific Electric Railway to Huntington Beach. Long story short, Huntington formed the Huntington Beach Company and purchased the majority of local land. In this old postcard, you can see the recently completed Pacific Electric Railway station built where Main Street hits Ocean Avenue. If you look carefully, you can see a railroad car on the siding stuffed with lumber, no doubt for the construction of new homes and businesses. I'm guessing this load of lumber may have come from McFadden Wharf in Newport Beach or the Long Wharf in Santa Monica. The Huntington Beach Company began construction of the first pier in 1903, completing it in 1904. You can see a team of horses hauling in a new wooden pier piling, square cut by the way, a steam donkey, in this case used in conjunction with a pile driver. This was cutting-edge technology of its day. This photo was titled Huntington Beach Pier Construction, but I have serious doubts. I know they built a pier in Santa Monica in 1909 specifically to house a drain pipe that pumps sewage into the ocean. If anyone has any additional information about this photo, please share and leave a comment. Here's what the pier looked like when it opened in 1904, complete with snack stands selling sandwiches and coffee. I think that redwood was often the wood of choice due to its durability, although Douglas fir was used more often. Here's a group of tourists enjoying a stroll on the wooden pier. I dare you to find a single person not wearing a hat. On the left side of this photo, you can see the dance pavilion built in 1906. There was a lunchroom on the first floor, with a dance hall in the second, also used for musical concerts. Titled Morning Bath in the Surf, this photo was taken on August 11, 1908. Although Huntington Beach would not have an official paid lifeguard until 1918, beachgoers were offered some form of protection when they ventured out into the surf. That was accomplished with a long rope strung from a pole out into the surf zone. What could go wrong? I've seen these used in Laguna Beach and Newport Beach at about this same time as well. Check out the fancy swim outfits in this photo taken in 1915. It looks like they also added floats onto the security rope. I couldn't find any real data, but there had to be many more drownings before ocean lifeguards hit the scene. This photo was titled Sunshine and Shadow and highlights two toddlers under the pier in 1906. I'm guessing this might be a promotional shot for the recently formed Huntington Beach Company. Nice logo, ahead of its time. Southern California, like the rest of the West Coast, saw a rapid increase in population with the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad in 1869. The rail line was extended down to Los Angeles and then later to Orange County in 1875. Henry Huntington's Pacific Electric Rail Service was nothing new to Southern California, but Huntington would create the world's largest electric railway system by the 1920s. You can see in this photo taken in Los Angeles in the 1890s that electric rail service like this trolley was commonplace in larger cities around the country. After forming the Huntington Beach Company, construction soon began on the Pacific Railway Station. In 1904, you can see that the horse and wagon was still the primary way of moving people and cargo around town. As it turned out, the railway also provided an easy way to transport building materials and goods to the burgeoning town of Huntington Beach. In this shot taken in 1906 looking towards the shore from the end of the pier, you can see the Pacific Railway Station on the right of the pier and the recently completed dance pavilion on the left side. Pleasure piers were usually one of the first amenities constructed at just about every beach town springing up along the coast of Southern California at the turn of the century, obviously to attract potential buyers. Running the railway along the shore prevented them from having to deal with steep grades, making the installation of the rail line relatively simple and less expensive. But it must have made for quite an exciting ride during high tides and large storm surf. The Pacific Electric was America's largest interurban electric railway system and connected cities throughout the Southland, connecting cities in Los Angeles, Orange, San Bernardino County, and Riverside counties. In this close-up of the map, you can see the most southerly route terminated at Newport. You can also see the station at Huntington Beach, originally built in 1904. Here is the recently completed Balboa Pavilion in Newport Beach. The rail line terminated at the pavilion in 1906. It was later extended to the east end of the peninsula. It might not surprise you to discover that Henry Huntington also had a huge hand in the development of Newport Beach, forming the Newport Beach Company. This marked a pivotal step in Newport's development. This has to be one of my favorite photos of early Huntington Beach, and must have been taken shortly after the completion of the Pacific Electric Railway Station. The impact of Henry Huntington's Pacific Electric Rail line on these coastal cities was transformative. There was no shortage of realty companies selling lots and or agricultural properties, complete with artesian water. Well, what is artesian water, you ask? It's groundwater that bubbles up to the Earth's surface because of underground pressure. Meet Tom Talbert and family, probably around 1918. When they name a major thoroughfare after you, you know you've made a huge contribution. The name was initially associated with the town of Talbert, which was later incorporated into Huntington Beach. On the far right of the screen, you can see another realty company advertising for agricultural property, ideal for growing celery. The local peaty soil was ideal for this and several other specific crops. In 1904, Pacific City resident Matthew Helm built the M.E. Helm Furnishing Company, advertising everything a pioneer needs. It was situated next door to his house, which he had originally built in Santa Ana in about 1880 and then moved to Pacific City in 1903 using a mule team and logs, about 15 miles. Every town popping up seemed to have at least one drugstore, and usually in a prominent location. Here is Obar's drugstore located at 124 Main Street. The 4th of July always seems to attract tourists to the shores to beat the heat inland, and it seems it also brought out the photographers. Many of the historic photographs of beach cities up and down the Southern California coastline I've uncovered were taken on the 4th of July, hence all of the red, white, and blue. By 1907, Huntington Beach had its first public library. I don't think many people today can understand how important a library was at the turn of the century. It was the World Wide Web of its day. One thing I discovered while researching the history of Orange County beach towns is the fact that almost all of them had a tent city of some sort initially, and Huntington Beach had one of the largest. In 1905, a tent city was constructed just west of downtown Huntington Beach by the Southern California Methodist Association. It consisted of a 10-acre compound and hosted events including Methodist Association conventions and revivals, Grand Army of the Republic conventions, Young Women's Christian Temperance Union rest cottages, and housing for tourists, vacationers, and potential land buyers. For indoor gatherings, the Methodist Association constructed the Huntington Beach Methodist Auditorium, also referred to as the Methodist Church Auditorium. It could house almost 2,000 people, I suppose equivalent to a convention center today. The arched roof trusses allowed for a very large open space. Following the Civil War, many veterans began traveling west to California after the completion of the Transcontinental Railway in 1869. In Southern California, veterans formed the Southern California Grand Army of the Republic, or GAR, to provide mutual support network and an opportunity to honor the memory of their service. Here they are raising the flag at an early gathering in 1905. The background looks like this gathering of the Malvern Camp Hill Post of the Grand Army of the Republic may have taken place on the beach prior to the opening of Tent City in 1905. Keep in mind that the Civil War had ended less than 40 years before this photo was taken. Here is a group of Tent City visitors, probably taken about 1905. I see that many of them are wearing a ribbon of sorts. I imagine they must identify the chapter of the GAR they represent. Some pretty stylish sun hats on the ladies. Check out that guy with the mustache. Is that him on the left? That hat looks the same as well. To continue Huntington Beach's history of honoring Civil War veterans, the Civil War Days, one of the largest Civil War living history events west of the Mississippi, was created by the Huntington Beach Historical Society and has been held annually now for the last 31 years. The Women's Christian Temperance Union of Huntington Beach gathered together at the Methodist Tent City from 1905 to 1920. As many as 15,000 people would gather together to listen to speakers and participate in Bible study. The area was sometimes referred to as the Gospel Swamp. Capturing a photograph like this would have been no easy task at the turn of the century. Besides the use of glass plate negatives and gelatin silver process, I know that orthochromatic film was also a common type of film used in photography at that time. I see a drum and fife corps leading this parade of sorts during an annual Grand Army of the Republic gathering, and it looks like they may all be veterans of the Civil War. In addition to normal things you might expect a group like this to participate in, like listening to military music and stirring speeches by veterans and alike, they also held an annual court-martial of the unconscientious objectors. Never heard of that one before. You can see that the town of Huntington Beach began to quickly grow around the 10-acre tent city site. I don't see any cars yet, but lots of horses and buggies. Makes me think this is still around 1910. Tent City would eventually be displaced with the discovery of black gold. Yep, turns out there was a ton of oil buried underground. And guess who retained most of the mineral rights in the area? Lemonade for sale? Quite a lemonade stand run by 7-year-old Helen Roan. I see they also had Coca-Cola for sale, for 5 cents a bottle. At this time, Coca-Cola still contained cocaine. It wasn't until 1929 that Coca-Cola became cocaine-free. Initially, Coke advertised it imparts energy and vigor. Yeah, I bet. Well, like my last couple videos, I found I needed to break the story up into multiple parts as well. And this seemed like a logical place to end part 1. In part 2, we continue with the incorporation of Huntington Beach in 1909, the introduction of surfing by George Freeth, the discovery of oil, and the city's continued transformation up until the beginning of World War II in the late 30s. I would like to thank the many local historians, historical societies, and Facebook sites that have provided the bulk of photographs and historical information about events, names, places, and dates I have included with this colorful peek back into time. Keep in mind that this, like my other videos, is simply an attempt to bring to life these historical photographs and weave them together with names, places, and events, along with a wee bit of local lore. If you're interested in the unique history of Huntington Beach and would like to know more, please consider becoming a member and donating to the Huntington Beach Historical Society. You can reach them at the link below. And again, thanks for watching. Aloha.